Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Orange County Schools Board of Education meeting for August the 5th, 2024. We will start with our public charge. I will welcome everyone here tonight. We're glad to see you, and those of you that are at home watching, thank you. We will start with our public charge. Orange County Board of Education pledges to its citizens to conduct its business in a courteous and productive manner, showing respect for fellow board members, staff, and citizens. The board asks its citizens to conduct themselves with the same courtesy toward both school personnel and each other. A moment of silence will be observed before each meeting. In addition to the moment of silence, the board will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. The board asks that you check your cell phones and other electronic devices to be certain that they're either turned off or on vibrate to avoid interruption of this meeting. And at this time, we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And we will now observe our moment of silence. Okay, thank you, everyone. At this time, we will begin with recognitions. Dr. Jones, do you have anyone that you would like to recognize tonight?
Actually, Chair Purcell, I do. We have, good evening, members of the board, staff, and community. We have one special recognition this evening. Ms. Arasi Atkins, if you will please meet Mr. McCune at the podium. Ms. Atkins has served as the interim Human Resources Chief from May until now. She has done a wonderful job here with us, and because of her leadership in that department, we are a better organization. What I know is she's only a phone call away, and so although this is her first official board meeting, we know that we'll be able to reach back out to her, but we so appreciate everything that you have done for us. Ms. Atkins, you have no idea. You came exactly when we needed you, and you left your print here with us. So we know that Ms. Atkins is an Eagles fan, and so we're not going to hold that against her. But if you notice on the plaque that Franklin's going to present to you, you have a little special something on there.
So I'll take a second and read it for everybody. Chair Purcell, Vice
Sure.
Chair Richmond, members of the board, members of the community. So this plaque was made by our students and our staff at Cedar Ridge High School. It says, on behalf of Orange County Board of Education and Orange County Schools, we thank you, Ms. Arasi Atkins, for serving as Interim Chief Human Resources Officer from May 2024 to August 2024. Fly, Eagles, fly.
We cannot thank her enough for the work that she's done here, and she will be missed. Okay, our next recognition is concerning the start of Hillsborough Elementary, which started on July the 15th. We have Principal Jessica Naj, who's my former French teacher in a life that both of us had a long time ago. And Kevin Smith, I think, are just Ms. Naj? Okay.
Yeah, sure. All
Welcome.
right. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here with you tonight. We have had a wonderful start to the school year at Hillsborough Elementary School. I know Mr. Atherton came by and opened some car doors for us the other day, which was great. You are all welcome to come and help us with car rider duty. So our school-wide theme this year is Impact, #Make a Splash, and we have splashed right into this new school year. We've got a couple of slides, because I like pictures of cute kids. There we go. So just want to give a shout out to not only the transportation department, but also our families. Our kids have been arriving to school on time. We have not had many tardies at all. We have, our buses have been there on time. Our kids have been there on time. We've been teaching and learning from day one. So a big focus this year has been around informing our instructional choices tied to our data. We are in the process of completing beginning of year assessments right now and using that data during our PLCs. And we've also been very strategic about our academic coaching, making sure that our teachers are getting the support that they need in the classrooms as well. I'd like to just share some gratitude for a lot of people, many of whom are in this room. Dr. Jones has come by and popped into classrooms. Dr. Lanier has been by. He spoke to our staff. Dr. Pack has been by this school. Ms. Rath is coming tomorrow. Technology, you know, we're rolling out Infinite Campus. And Ryan Miller and Aaron Bradley, Nicole, Joy, they have all been just a phone call or text away, and that has been huge for us. I'd also really like to give a shout out to the maintenance department. As you know, we are getting some new roofs right now while we are teaching and learning. And so I just really appreciate all the support that we've gotten. People have been just on call, it feels like all the time. The EC department has given us a lot of support, especially with our therapeutic setting, as we are still looking for a teacher to fill that one of our positions. And yeah, I think I already mentioned CNI, even more members. We've had, you know, Dr. Gammon, Ambra. We've just felt very supported by the district. And you know, with the start of the school year brings a whole lot of joy. And so we are in our dolphin era, as you see in the pictures there. And our staff, we think of ourselves as a dolphin pod, and we are just a tight-knit group. We went bowling together. So we've got happy teachers, and I think that brings about happy kids as well. So that's all I've got. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your support.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Okay, we need to now adopt our agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight?
So, Madam Chair, okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
There were some things that I wanted to pull from the consent agenda, so.
Okay.
If we could I'd like to motion to adopt it, unless you had something else to add.
No, I was just going to recommend to have those brought back after they were
Yep.
cleaned.
Yeah, so policies 3620, 4240, 8220, and 2127. Just by point of explanation, usually when we have policies for approval, we have like the red line version that shows the changes and a clean version, so you can sort of see the whole thing through. This is only red line in here, and some of them were pretty, the reason I pulled only those is because they were the ones where it was sort of harder to understand. And one of them has a typo, which is in the email, so that's why I pulled that one.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
But those will be to come back. We're not going to need to discuss
They
them
will come
tonight.
back at our next,
Yes.
well, we'll decide when they're
Yeah.
coming back. Okay, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda with the changes to the consent agenda, pulling policy 3620, 4240, 2127, and I think there was
8220.
8220 to come back at one of our next meetings after there's been some red line cleanup in those.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. That is approved. Okay. Next, we have our public comments.
We have one speaker this evening. We will now hear public comments. Speakers will be called in the order in which they signed up. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Yielding time to other speakers is not permitted. If a speaker has written materials they would like to share, please hand them to our board clerk, Franklin McCune, and he will distribute them to the board. The purpose of public comment is for the board to hear from members of the public, not to engage in back and forth discussions. Per our policy, board members will not respond to speakers during the public comment session. The board greatly values public feedback and welcomes all comments, regardless of viewpoint. However, please be reminded that children are often present at these meetings and that our public comment policy prohibits profanity, vulgarity, and personal abuse of any person. We ask that all comments be civil, respectful, and free of personal attacks. Any person who violates our public comment period or otherwise exceeds the bounds of order or decorum will be given a warning. Continued violations may result in the speaker being ruled out of order, at which point we will move on to the next speaker. And our one and only speaker for this evening is Ms. Nina Day.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Jones, and other Orange County school leaders. As you know, I'm Nina Morley Day, a retired science teacher from Orange High. Thank you so much for serving in this role. And we are fortunate in this community to have people with a variety of viewpoints and opinions serving on this board. I'm so thankful for that. As we start a new school year, I want to remind you, myself, and our community that we need to focus on things that unite us and not on the things that divide us. The Orange County Schools have an essential role to play in our community. You are charged with leading this work. Orange County Schools need to support each student in a safe, equitable, fully funded space that focuses on seeing and knowing each person and family. I believe that job is done best in an atmosphere of love, acceptance, and joy, instead of one of fear of the unknown and hatred. Please know, as a person who cares deeply about this school system, I implore you to avoid getting sidetracked by agendas that reduce the energy needed for us to fulfill the mission of the schools, which is educating students for the future, helping them learn how to live without fear in a diverse society. And as I said to the folks over here, I also am waiting to celebrate the day when we're the #1 school system in the state, and I believe we can make it happen. And thank you for your service.
Thank you, Ms. Day. Okay, it's time for board comments. We'll start at the other end of the table tonight and start with Ms. Hauser and work our way this way.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair Purcell. You know, it's kind of exciting to start the new school year. We had a wonderful board retreat over the weekend, and I maybe would like to just start by thanking Dr. Jones, Chair Purcell, and Mr. McCune for putting that together. It was just a great experience. And while I'm on it, Mr. McCune, I wanted to congratulate you on becoming Orange County Schools' first ombuds. So that's a very exciting time. I mean, there's so much excitement in the new year. I also, at our retreat, we got to welcome our new leadership team. This is Dr. Pack, Dr. Lanier, Mr. Coweek, who is not here tonight, and Mr. Davis, who's starting in September, and they will join Mrs. Rath, Mr. Smith, Mr. Miller, and Mr. McCune as our, I think we like the term, the dream team. It is a dream leadership team, and they demonstrated to us their superpowers, and I like this word, superpowers, around visioning, around data-driven decision-making, and an unwavering commitment to serving families, students, and teachers as a priority. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm really looking forward to working with you and to this new school year. Very exciting.
Mr. Atherton?
I'm not going to repeat everything Bonnie said, but I'm very excited to work with all the new staff. Franklin, congratulations. And one other thing is I did get a chance to go to the HES during the first week. So many excited kids, excited parents, the staff. It was just a wonderful feeling to see everybody getting back to school and the excitement to be there. And that's all I have.
Mr. Richmond?
All right, I think I will try to recite everything Bonnie said.
You know my notes.
There you go, I'm just kidding. I will say congratulations to Hillsborough Elementary on your new start. Look forward to coming by and seeing everyone and all the children there. And then the retreat this weekend, Saturday, was great. I hate I missed Friday, but I really received a lot on Saturday, and so thank you to everyone who put that together.
Congratulations to a great start, Hillsborough Elementary, getting the school year going. I know everyone's getting their kids ready, themselves ready, teachers are getting ready. Lots going on, so wishing everyone across the district a great start to the school year as well. I got to visit the Gravelly Hill Middle School STEAM camp. I got to visit twice because I was afraid I was going to miss it if I didn't go at the beginning. So I got to see the beginning and the end of their projects, which was fun. And it was like rock stars from all over the district working together, working with different aged kids than they normally work with, sometimes pairing up with teachers from different schools, and all the great spaces and the ideas that the teachers brought to their classrooms, and then the seeing the kids just run with it and dive in was really encouraging and fun to see. Gave me some ideas to take home. And I also appreciated the retreat this weekend, and I'm excited about all of us starting a new year together, including all the new folks who joined us at the retreat. So best wishes and thanks.
Ms. Miley?
This covers everything I was going to talk about, too. It really was a wonderful retreat. The STEAM Summer Camp was fabulous, and I hope that we are able to continue to secure outside funding to be able to do some things like that. That was funded by Boroughs Welcome. Yeah, excited. You know, I appreciate, Ms. Naj, all the shout outs that you did, like to the other departments and things. You can just really feel the joy, and I'm excited about a joyful school year. I'd like to welcome our new team members. Really appreciated all you shared at the retreat about your priorities and focus areas, and really looking forward to just a school year really focused on each and every kid and what they learn. So thank you.
Ms. Padilla?
I want to say thank you and welcome to everyone, and I'm excited to be here with all of you. I'm excited for this new adventure that we're going to do all together in the best interest of children, all children, should I say. And the retreat was phenomenal. We got to be able to see how we work together and our dynamics and how we can pull through and be a great school board in the best interest of everyone. So thank you, Dr. Jones and Mr. McCune, and everyone involved that put the retreat together, and thank you.
I will just add that I spent some time at this STEAM camp at Gravelly Hill and was just most impressed with what I saw with what the children were doing and what the teachers were doing. And a lot of those teachers I had worked with before, either at Orange Middle or at Orange High School, and they are very dedicated, wonderful teachers, along with the ones that were there from Gravelly Hill and A.L. Standback. But those children were involved and did not mind telling you at all what they had been doing and how they had done it, and even down to we've had pizza and we've had, you know, all these other things to go along with it, and they were very excited. And so STEM is very near and dear to my heart, so I'm hoping that we will find some funds in the next few years to enhance that program so that all children have an opportunity to be a part of it. I will say big shout out to Hillsborough Elementary, and Ms. Naj is a wonderful person, a wonderful principal, and I know that that school is in good hands and those children are in good hands. Thank you to our cabinet sitting over here, our new leadership team. They did a great job with our retreat this past weekend. Dr. Jones did a great job with it, very focused on what we all can do to help the children in this district. Dr. Jones told us when she came to Orange County, when we interviewed her, her first words out of her mouth were, "I work for kids." And that is very evident in everything that she does. And she has a team in here that also works for kids. So We are excited. I think the 7 of us came away from this retreat feeling very excited, very good about where we were going and how we were going to get there and the people that are going to be driving the ship to get us in that position. So thank you for all that all of you have done. Okay, that ends the board comments, but Dr. Jones, do you have any comments?
I do, just a few, and in my comments, I did not mention the retreat, but I also enjoyed it, and I had a great time. It was nice for the staff to be able to pull together. It was nice for the board to be able to come together, and so I look forward to other opportunities for us to engage in that way. So official comments. Good evening, Chair Purcell, Vice Chair Richmond, members of the board, students, staff, and community members. This is such an exciting and busy time of the year. So much goes into opening schools in general, but the quick turnaround can especially be challenging for our year-round schools. And so I'm happy to report, just like Ms. Naj reported, that Hillsborough Elementary opened with joy and very few issues. So I just wanted to thank Ms. Naj for her leadership. Her teachers were all smiles when we visited. When I came back to visit again, they were still smiling. So that's, first day everyone's smiling. After a week, maybe not. But I was able to see some great instruction in classrooms and just looking forward to more visits. So thank you for your leadership there. As we prepared for the return of our students and staff at our traditional schools, I want to thank the district, our teams at the district and at the school levels for all their hard work thus far this summer. I'm excited about the work that's ahead of us. As a district, we want to be intentional regarding the continued support we are providing to schools, but especially to our teachers. It is not an easy job. It is not always an appreciated job, but it is the most rewarding when we put into it what we should. And our job at central office is to support those that are boots on the ground working with our children every day. So I'm very excited about that and the team that we have, because they, like Ms. Chair Purcell said, that is our jobs, are to be here and work for children. So we are excited to host also staff around the district for our second annual OCS Stars of Education Conference on August 15th at Orange High School. Our very own teacher leaders and our district staff are preparing to share their expertise and provide over 30 engaging sessions. This conference has something for everyone, so I encourage all of our teachers and staff to attend. This will be a great day for professional learning for our district, and I'm excited to attend and fellowship with our teachers and staff and hopefully learn something new, as we are all continuously learning as we go through this educational journey. So that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. We need to adopt our consent agenda with changes that were made in the policies that we talked about. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you very much. All right, our first discussion action item for tonight is our federal programs consolidated application for Title I, II, III, and IV. Good afternoon, good evening.
Good evening.
Afternoon's gone.
Good evening, Chair Purcell, Vice Chair Richmond, Dr. Jones, board members. Tonight, we bring before you the 24-25 Consolidated Federal Programs application for your approval. The application includes funding provided under the Every Student Succeeds Act for students in Orange County in 4 funding streams. First and the most familiar to you is Title I funding. This funding is designated for improving the academic achievement of our economically disadvantaged students. Title II funding is designated for supporting our teachers and leaders. And Title III funding is specifically designated to improve the academic achievement of our multilingual students. Title IV funding is our most flexible and is designed for providing student support and academic enrichment through a focus on a well-rounded educational experience, safe and healthy schools, and the effective use of technology. Tonight, we will overview the funding and intended use of those funds. As a reminder, the complete plan is included in your board materials. We will start with an overview of Title I funding. The total amount we have for the 24-25 school year is approximately $1.7 million. This includes the initial allotment plus carryover from last year. Although the number of students from low-income households has increased over the years, our funding has decreased. This is a trend and frustration seen and felt statewide. The plan presented will spin that carryover down to the allowable 15% carryover. In addition to school allocations, we will continue to fund approximately 30% of our district's pre-K program and 40% of the district math facilitator position. With parent and family engagement funds, we are excited about the work our elementary math coaches and our math facilitator have done over the summer. They have developed content for a math website for our Title I schools, which should be operational this early in the fall. This will be a resource for our parents to use. The district has seen great success with the NC EdCore tutoring program over the past 2 years. We are excited to be able to continue the partnership with NC EdCore to provide tutoring at our elementary Title I schools in both reading and math for the upcoming school year. Our overall district percentage of low-income students remained at 51%. We will continue to serve the same schools as last year. Schools are tiered according to their percentage of low-income students, and that is how the per-pupil amount is determined within their school allotments. This allows the schools with the highest needs to receive the highest per-pupil amounts. We have highlighted some of the efforts that we plan to continue for the 24-25 school year and new initiatives that we plan to implement. For Title II, the amount we have for the 24-25 school year is approximately $316,000. This includes the initial allotment plus carryover from last year. The plan presented will spin that carryover down. We will expand the partnership with UNC for our BT program from 20 to 25 teachers. Additionally, we will offer increased professional development opportunities, such as Foundations of Math, Foundations of Reading, EdTPA, which is our licensure support, MTSS, data analysis, and PLC days. For Title III, the total amount we have for the 24-25 school year is approximately $204,000. This includes the initial allotment plus carryover from last year. The plan presented will also spin that carryover down. The district ESL facilitator provided an ESL add-on course this past school year. She will expand the course to provide more opportunities for participation this year. We will utilize extra duty contracts for some of our ESL teachers to developing scaffolding supports for our ML students within the current curriculum maps and pacing guides. We will also offer a summer newcomer bridge program to help ease the transition from middle to high school for our ML students. In Title IV, the total amount we have for the 24-25 school year is approximately $84,000. The equity team plans to partner with the Chapel Hill-Carrboro City Schools in order to establish a youth leadership program. They are still developing the specifics of that program. Additionally, OCS will use funds to develop plans to provide college and career readiness, such as ACT support, dual enrollment, and to provide the integration of STEM across our schools. Tonight, we ask for your approval for the 24-25 Consolidated Federal Programs application. We're happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Questions? Ms. Molly?
I have a couple. Thank you very much for the presentation. And first of all, I'm thrilled to see the Newcomer Bridge program. I've heard that Chatham County Schools has had something like, I'm excited about that, especially newcomers in the district who are going into high school, how we help them make that bridge. That's exciting. First, do you know why the Title I funds have been decreasing over time, even as we've been getting more Title I eligible students?
I wish I could answer that question. I know the funding from the state from across all districts have felt that same pain. I don't have a good solid answer for you there.
Okay. And then the carryover funds. So I know in past years we've had some amount of carryover funds as well, but I was surprised at sort of the size of it in the Title I bucket in particular, I think. Can you just speak to that?
Sure. We had a little over 800,000 carryover previous year. We've spent quite a bit of that down, but we wanted to make sure that we were spending it fruitfully so that we were doing impactful things with that. And so with the plan this year, with this amount of money we have left, would be the NCA core tutoring. That's how we were able to fund that. And then we've got approximately 173,000 set aside for our allowable 15% carryover. So we've got that in a bucket to set aside, and so that should get that money spent down this year.
Okay, so the next year, when it's all spent down and we don't have any carryover, are we going to have to like pull back any of the things that we're funding with this Title I funding?
That's a work in progress that we'll have to look at with
Yeah.
the schools, working with the principals to assess the need there. We won't have as much at the district level to carry over at that point to say NCA core tutoring. That's something we're gonna have to look at to see what we'll have available. And hopefully we'll get more funds from the state, but we just don't know from year to year how much we're gonna get.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just say that is a little bit of a concern to me because I know we've spent it down like a little bit slowly. So the fact that this year we're like, I understand the impulse to like get the dollars into schools to support kids, but if then next year there's, a lot that we can't do sort of abruptly, I do have some concern about that.
Ms. Padilla, you had your hand up.
Thank you for the presentation. Something that I just thought about was when you speak about low-income percentage of being 51%, it sounds very high. So I just want for you, if you can, please, educate us onto what is low income, what are the percentages of these people we speak of, and can you break it down in groups so we all understand?
Can you explain?
So what I'm asking is, it was stated that there's 51% of low-income students.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to know if there's a breakdown on groups. White, Black, Asian, Indigenous, what is, do you have the numbers for that?
I do not have that in hand now, but I can certainly get that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Doyle?
Thank you. I just wanted to ask a little bit more about the Newcomer Bridge program. So that's specifically for our newcomers. Is that happening this school year, or this is funding for start of next school year?
This is for the start of next school year.
Okay, and you said it's specifically for the middle to high school transition, and would it be like a program where they're by themselves, like it's not connected to another high school orientation?
I would have to defer to Ms. Wilson and Ms. Lewis for the specifics of that.
Okay,
I know they're still working out some of the details throughout this next year.
thank you.
Ms. Hausel?
Yeah, it's not really, thank you for the presentation, it's very helpful. This is mostly the compliance with our federal grants. And I just wanted, maybe it's a question for Dr. Jones and Chair Purcell, but it would be helpful in future meetings to understand more broadly what our English language learner program looks like and what our beginning teacher programs look like overall, because, the need is so much bigger than what's coming through this funding. So it'd be really helpful to understand. And some of these innovations sound really great. So it'd be nice to have a context to understand them all. Thank you so much.
Anyone at Mr. Atherton?
Thank you so much. It's really good to understand, how we're spending the money, and I was surprised as well from the carryover. But one of the questions I had was, in the application itself, there's a section for the schools and the total resident children, and those numbers are really high in comparison to what our buildings hold. So I'm trying to just, for example, Eflin Cheeks, it says total residence children is 560. And I know I've never seen that number. That's really high. And then like New Hope, 564. I'm just trying to understand what is that number or where it comes from?
That came from our April Power School report, our monthly Power School report back in April. So that was their total school enrollment at that time.
Wow. Okay, so even our latest data we've gotten doesn't show those numbers, so I guess it'll be something we can look back on. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'd like to ask one question, Ms. Weiner. when you said the newcomers program, are we talking a newcomers program from students moving from elementary school to middle school and then moving from high school to middle school? Two-pronged program or just one?
I know definitely middle to high, and they're exploring the option from elementary to middle school. They've not settled on that yet, but they're working on that now.
Well, I think that it would be very important and beneficial if we had one for students moving from elementary to middle, because that is a huge jump. And just personally, I feel like that would benefit our students if at all possible. So, thank you for your presentation. We greatly appreciate it. We need a
Do we need a motion to approve?
to approve this.
Motion to approve the consolidated application?
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. All right, it is approved. Thank you so much, Ms. Wagner. All right. Let me find my piece of paper. Up next, we're looking at our budget for this coming year, and Ms. Rath, you have all of those details. Welcome.
Good evening. Make sure I can be heard. I don't want to be told to speak in the mic. So, good evening, Board Chair Purcell, Vice Chair Richmond, board members, Superintendent Jones, and our listening public. This evening, we're here to discuss our final fiscal year 25 local operating budget that we will be asking for approval on at our next meeting on August the 19th. Much planning has been happening behind the scenes since our budget request was presented to the Board of County Commissioners in April. As we know, school districts across the nation received infusions of federal relief funds to address COVID-19 and the associated learning loss. It is fair to say that about every district took a different approach in how to best utilize those funds. Some implemented enormous bonus programs to recruit and retain staff. Some added new positions, and some added new programs. We implemented a mix of these approaches, all while keeping in mind the sunset, i.e. the cliff, that was coming on September of 2024. Every department took a hard look at existing budgets this year and reallocated funds to ensure those initiatives started with ESSER and prioritized by you and the superintendent, that we could continue them and continue funding them. With your support, we have successfully walked down our dependence on the infused federal ESSER funds while maintaining our district priorities. Plans began for this budget in November of 2023 when we took a first look at what would be needed to continue operations at existing levels into the new school year. From November to April, we took an in-depth look at anticipated budget drivers and funding to build a budget that aligned with the Orange County Schools strategic plan. April the 8th, the board approved a budget request totaling $47.8 million to be submitted to the Orange County Board of County Commissioners for funding consideration. This request incorporated the salary and benefit increases approved in the state's biennium budget, as well as the expansion initiatives the board continues to advocate funding to support. $1.9 million is needed to continue operating Orange County schools at the same level as the previous academic year, factoring in the salary and benefit increases approved by the General Assembly. $3.1 million was requested to implement a step increase in the classified employee pay scales that would equate to a 0.5% step for each year of service completed, an increase to the current certified supplement tiers to enable us to be more competitive with our bordering districts, and other valuable incentives prioritized by the board. In total, Orange County Schools asked the commissioners for funding totaling $47.8 million for the 24-25 school year. This equated to a $5 million increase over the previous year. At the June 18th, 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting, the commissioners approved funding for Orange County Schools and Chapel Hill Carrboro City Schools at $5,666 per pupil. This equated to $44.9 million in funding for Orange County Schools based on student enrollment. This approved budget supports funding for Orange County Schools to continue operations at the current level and implement the legislated salary and benefit increases, which is expected to cost $44.7 million. Unfortunately, this approved budget will not support funding all of the expansion initiatives prioritized in April. In preparing for this fiscal year, we were anticipating and planning for tight budgets. All the while, we remained committed to our budget priorities of recruiting and retaining a high-quality staff, student proficiency and growth, and allocating resources to meet the needs of our students and our staff. We thoughtfully looked at every budget line item to reallocate or cut existing budgets to support those priorities funding was not received for. As already mentioned earlier, departmental budgets were reduced roughly $700,000 to reallocate funds to support the new literacy curriculum needs, professional learning communities, multi-tiered systems of support, student voice, staff retention commitments, academic supports, and athletic supplement increases that had not been seen in over 10 years. Other funding resources were examined to support the NC Ed Core Tutoring Partnership and Title I elementary schools, STEM resources and curriculum integration, as also building structures to create an Orange County Schools experience. And we also wanted to continue funding those initiatives already in place, like our transportation, retention incentives, as well as our daily subs at every school. As a result, we have a balanced budget that continues to focus on our priorities. As we did state, we didn't receive funding to do all of the expansion initiatives that the board had asked for. We will continue to advocate for funding to support salary increases outside of those legislated by the General Assembly, which include the classified salary step increases as well as the teacher local supplement increases. Now let's take a look at our whole budget. Our total balanced budget of $102.2 million is funded 44% by Orange County, 50% by the state of North Carolina, and 6% by the federal government. Our capital outlay budget of $43.3 million consists of funds generated from the 2016 bond, the Orange County deferred maintenance, debt financing, and recurring capital. In conclusion, I would like to provide an update on the district's local operating fund balance. As reflected here, the district's fund balance has experienced a decline for the previous 2 years, going from an audited fund balance of $6.6 million in 2021 to an audited fund balance of $3.4 million in June a year ago. It is important to note that the district has not had its final fiscal year 2024 audit, and therefore any fund balance projections are just that, they are projections. With that being said, it is anticipated that we will see an increase of roughly $500,000 to $800,000 in our ending fund balance as of June 30th of 2024. This will be finalized and actually reported to the board in its November the 4th board meeting when the final audit report is presented by our external auditors, Anderson, Smith, and White. This budget does include a recommended fund balance appropriation of $400,000 for the continuation of the recruitment and marketing initiative approved by the board in February of '23, as well as potential pension spiking liabilities. Thank you for your support and input in developing a sound budget that focuses on the students and staff of Orange County Schools. I will now take any questions that you have surrounding this budget.
Okay, questions? Ms. Dole? Thank you, Ms. Rath. Looking at the fund balance trend and thinking about how 2020 was some of the ESSER 1 funds were released, but maybe they weren't before June 30th of that year?
They weren't.
Okay, so this is like the roughly 6 million, like our target? That's where we would like to be. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Ms. Malik?
Sure. Thank you so much for that presentation. I think that was a really great flow of things. And I'm glad that you included the visual about the cliff that we managed to have be like a gentle slope. I think there are a lot of districts that are not in that position that are facing some really challenging choices this year. And I think, thanks to the board and your leadership in this, I think we're in a gentler path and haven't had to give up really things that are really important to our core priorities. So I think that's great. The capital budget, one question I had about that was with the bond on the ballot in November, are we expecting to spend this? I mean, I guess, is it sort of like, this is what we anticipate the budget to be? Because I know there were some projects that the county didn't want us to do anymore in order to see what happens with the bond. Is that sort of a placeholder capital budget, or are we moving forward with projects there?
So I'm going to tell you what I know, speaking just
From the financial perspective. Yes,
from my
ma'am.
financial perspective. I mean,
Yeah.
I may have to look to Dr. Jones or some of my colleagues in regards to the rest of it. So of that 43.3 million, 16.1 is new funding that came online July the 1st. So from my understanding, those funds are being planned in conjunction with the Wolpert study.
Okay.
The 16.1, and then any other bond funds that we receive. Of the remaining funds, those represent carryover funds from previous years to address projects that we have going on right now and that are continuing to go forward with. And I can say of that, roughly 67% of that carryover has been committed or spent.
Okay, great, thank you.
Can I piggyback on that one?
Yes, ma'am.
So just so the 15% in the pie chart there, that's the 2016 bond, that 6.5 million, that was like the 10th year of what was already planned out. So that's just, I mean, if the bond gets approved, it's halfway through the school year. So that's unaffected by that.
That is correct. That bond is associated with 2016 and those projects that were approved by the voters
Right.
for that bond that we are continuing to work on.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Hauser?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for this, and honestly, I look at taking $700,000 and reallocating it and making sure our priorities are met, that is huge. That is a huge undertaking, so thank you for doing that. I think it's hard to imagine, we have a big budget, there's a lot of things that just can't move, right? And so that's incredible, thank you for that. And for protecting us on the ESSER cliff. I just had a question about, I couldn't help but notice the subs, and maybe it's not a question for you. You have an allotment of 1 sub per school, but I was wondering if there's a way for us to look at the middle and high school subs differently, because the 1 sub for school, they tend to be more subject area. So it's not really, I don't think it's your issue, it's probably more of an academic issue, but it's just, I'm glad the money's there, but the one sub per school for high school and middle school, it just doesn't work the way it works in elementary schools, right? Because of all the subject areas that have to be covered, so.
Oh, Ms. Molly? Just to add on, I was going to bring up the one sub per school for the largest schools as well. And just, if we are holding the money for unexpected needs in fund balance, maybe that's one of those things, like depending on what we see in terms of teacher absences and things like that. So that seems like a decent way to address it. And then I just want to say, it's just such a shame that we're not able to do anything on the local supplement. And we are in a good position in terms of our number of open positions right now as we look towards the start of the school year, a really good position, relatively speaking. But I just wonder how long we can maintain this at our level of supplement. So it's not a question for you, Ms. Rao. It's just a comment.
Continue to look at it, and we will continue to advocate for the funding.
Any further questions? Mr. Atherton?
So my question's on the field trips for the district. We've had this on our budget for multiple years now, and it really is an inequity at this point. And we should pilot or do something to try to address and know that every school is going to have some level of field trips. So what can we do if we just allocate something to start moving in that direction of ensuring that, all schools are going to get to go see the Wright brothers or go to the beach or have those experiences that we learned in our literacy study that we did that is so important for our students?
Dr. Jones and I have talked about it, and, we've talked about it amongst cabinet. We can definitely take a look at this. I think what I wanted to make sure that I was clear of tonight is that it will take a fund balance appropriation in order to do what we need to do to continue operations at this level. In order to allocate additional funding, it will have to be from a fund balance appropriation, which you can do. My only request and discussions with everyone is that, we establish criteria for this and what it will look like for each of the individual schools. And I don't know if Dr. Jones would like to add anything.
Yeah, I'll just add that we're already looking at that. And so we want to make sure we're careful of, anytime we're promising to fund like field trips, we do have to have a set of criteria. We also want to make sure that if we are appropriating fund balance, that we keep a good, maintain fund balance at an appropriate level so that if we do have emergencies, we're able to do that. So what staff are working on now is what it could look like for at each level as kids go from elementary through high school, that they have some type of experience that's linked to the curriculum. Field trips, and we already do some of that, but it's in spots. And so the C&I department, they're working diligently on that. If we have funding that we can allocate to schools and there is a need and we can establish a criteria, then we're hoping to be able to do that this year. But for now, we want to kind of slowly walk through the process, see what supports the schools need in the field trips. There are a lot of field trips that are free that some of our schools may or may not be taking advantage of. And so we just want to highlight those, connect it with the curriculum, support the teachers in whatever way they need the support to make sure our kids get the experience. So it is a work in progress. We didn't set a budget for it right yet just because we're still trying to work and keep our fund balance at a good place so that if we do have an emergency that we have that. But yes, when it's time to appropriate funds, we are willing to do that and we're willing to support the schools in those efforts.
Okay, I'm definitely interested in seeing what y'all find on that because I'm very passionate that our schools, kids are getting the same experience, especially on field trips. It just doesn't seem right to me for some to have none and others to have 7. So, and I know y'all know that, and you're just hearing me repeat it, but I definitely am interested, and even if y'all have a starter proposal on something K-5, like everybody's going to get this opportunity, even if it's free, and, you know, ensuring that that's occurring. So thank you.
Further questions? Thank you, Ms. Rath, for presenting this and working on this. I think we will vote on this at our next board meeting. Is that your plan, Dr. Jones? Yes, okay. So we will have time to think about this, and if we have, certainly if we have any questions, please bring them forward, and I'm sure that Dr. Jones and her staff will, and Ms. Rath will help answer them. So, all right. We're at the end of our meeting, and it's 7:55. Does anyone have anything else that they need to go into closed session for or discuss? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all, and thank you to our visitors.